We can be as politically correct today as we want to be, or probably more accurately have to be. But for as long as I can remember, the three biggest draws in horror, especially in the slasher subgenre, were bloody, gory carnage, scantily clad, beautiful girls, and really dumb victims. Not very many other places can you find all three of those things in abundance as you could in 1982's Slumber Party Massacre. So let's suggestively drill into this one. Before I sat down to watch this, one thing that stood out was the runtime. It's only an hour and 10 minutes. So if it sucks, we're not committing a whole lot of our lives to it. And that gave it an extra point in the plus column for me because of that. And when we open up, we get some foreboding music. We scroll over a very nice neighborhood. Looks to be in California. I see palm trees. I don't think it's Florida. I'm pretty sure they shot this in California. And we end up settling in the bedroom of Trish. Now, it's suggested, or the way it's presented here, that she's our final girl. Anytime you have a horror movie that opens up with a character like this and spends so much time on her and with her, she's usually around to the end and she's the one that bests the killers. But her boobs are out in like 45 seconds here. And that's not really standard behavior for final girls. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The setup, the overall setup is that her folks, Trish's folks, are going to be out of town for the weekend. She's got designs on a slumber party. Just a couple of catches though. The next door neighbor has been tasked to keep an eye on things, and more specifically her. We meet the guy. He seems a little pervy. She certainly treats him like he's a little pervy. So Lord knows what's going to happen with that later. But the other catch is escaped mental patient Russ Thorne, who went on a killing spree back in 1969 in that very area, has just recently escaped from the funny farm. No rest for the wicked here, and the murder gets going almost instantly. We get to the high school. There's a phone company lady fixing something. She is absolutely stunning. I've never seen anybody working for the phone company that looks like her, and the high school boys there notice it too, and they shoot their shot. They get turned away, but as the phone lady is putting something back into her van, she gets grabbed and drugged into the van. And then she's killed shortly thereafter by her escaped mental patient. Broad daylight this happens. Now, I'm no prude, but right after this, we see a competitive basketball game featuring the girls of the movie, the stars of the show, and then there's a gratuitous shower scene. Now, I can appreciate the fact that the guy shooting this didn't even try to pretend like he was going for any artistic quality or storytelling. He just literally runs his camera up and down the bodies of each girl, one by one by one by one. And yes, it's obvious, but they're not exactly breaking new ground. I mean, this is not unlike Carrie from a few years prior. Shower scenes, they're prevalent in 80s cinema, period, not just horror films. But here it's Trish really noticing Valerie, who had a hell of a game when they were playing basketball, and Trish offers for her to come next door to the slumber party because apparently they're next door neighbors. Now, I thought it was really odd in this movie to see the killer's face as much as we did, and the head-to-toe denim that he had on was really, really goofy. But the guy runs after his victims, and a running killer is a scary killer, and he fixates on all these high school kids. Plus, the use of the phone repair van was good camouflage for him. It made him blend into the environment, and it provided you a tense moment whenever you saw that van just appear. When you see the main characters walking one way, and they walk right past this phone repair van parked on their block. You just knew something bad was coming down the pipe. Now, at this point, I'm getting kind of confused as to who our final girl really will be, which isn't a bad problem to have, but Trish is super bland, and she's naked every 10 minutes. Whereas Valerie decides she's going to stay home instead of going next door to that slumber party because she's been tasked with watching her little sister Courtney. So is Valerie the final girl? One thing this movie had an abundance of are horror movie tropes. I mean, you had the power getting cut. You had creaking floorboards. There was a thunderstorm at one point. There's a pair of boys circling the house where the girls are having their slumber party, and they're peeping in through the windows trying to see something that they're probably not supposed to be seeing. And they get just that because these girls are changing into their pajamas in the middle of the living room with all the windows open, all the blinds up. I don't know if that's actually a thing, but the 80s was a hell of a time to be alive. And the body count goes up here once Diane's boyfriend shows up hoping to get laid. He goes, Diane ends up going, and the pizza guy even gets it. And it's every single kill that we see on screen, the killer's eyes just seem to get bigger and bigger, and they're bulging out for the better part of this film. Now, I hated that the killer in this movie didn't wear a mask, but if you're gonna go maskless and slaughter a bunch of people, look like this dude looks, because he absolutely looks the part. He was creepy as hell, and he was rocking denim. Denim Dan was scary as shit in this movie. So once the power is cut, these characters prove just how extraordinarily stupid that they are, because they have numbers. There's 2 boys inside the house because they've been invited in. There's 3 girls inside that same house, so that gives us 5 folks, right? And they know there's a killer out there because they opened the door when the pizza guy showed up and the dead pizza guy falls into their arms. They dragged him inside, shut the door, and locked it. You're behind locked doors, right? And there's 5 of you. All of you grab a knife and just wait it out. Or all of you charge outside and you've got the numbers. What happens? The 2 guys decide that they're going to make a run for it. The phone line has been cut. They can't call out. And the 2 guys are going to leave the girls there to make a run for it. And in separate directions. I mean, otherworldly stupid right there. And they're both dead within 5 minutes. Big surprise. Now, creepy shot of Valerie looking out of a window of her house and seeing her little sister Courtney walking over to the house having the slumber party. Now, we know what's going on in that house. Valerie doesn't know yet. But it makes me remember a shot years later in Halloween Curse of Michael Myers when Kara sees her son Danny walking from her house over to the Myers house after Kara has just seen her brother's girlfriend get butchered by Michael Myers. Just seconds before she sees her son. Now, that scene was far more intense than the scene we got here in Slumber Party Massacre, but it took me back to that for a moment. Still pretty cool. Then we get a really nice oh shit moment when the 2 girls that are left at the end barricade themselves into a bedroom in the house. And then they're talking and they're trying to figure out what their next move is, and then we see behind them the killer start to climb in the 2nd story window with that drill of his. By the way, how is he powering that thing? That battery is a hell of a lot better than any technology we have yet today. Why, when this guy walks, does he jingle? He's not wearing spurs. I don't think he has a key ring hanging from his hip. But we get to the point with this guy and the actor, I don't know what his name is. I've never seen him in anything else. He does a good job here. He's legitimately creepy and weird, and he makes you believe he came from a mental hospital because after he's taken out what he thinks is the last of the people he needs to take out for the night, he grabs a blanket, lays down on the floor of the living room, smiles real big, pulls the blanket over himself like he's just going to fall asleep. What? It turns out that Trish, Valerie, and Valerie's little sister Courtney are all the final girls here, which I thought was a nice touch because it breaks away from the horror movie standard. And then Valerie winds up with a machete, cuts this dude's drill bit in half, and I can't help but feel like that is heavy symbolism. Because all throughout the movie, he has been using this drill in an extremely suggestive manner. We see a couple different shots of him standing over his cowering female victims with his legs spread and this drill bit coming down towards them between his legs. Little creepy, but this movie for me is a 5 out of 10. It's not going to age gracefully. This is a weird movie. I guess originally it was supposed to be like a satire or a spoof of the slasher genre, which is odd because slashers, I think, were still in the infancy in 1982. I think they were still new to us. But they decided to shoot this one straight. And you could see some dark humor here, like the scene with the pizza guy when the 2 boys go to answer the door because the girls have ordered pizzas. And the 2 boys say, "What's the damage?" The guy with the drill who had just killed the pizza guy says, "I'm up to about 6 now," talking, of course, about his body count. The dark humor, I get it. You can see what they were originally shooting for. But this was probably the best way for them to shoot this movie as a serious one. It was short, which I thought was a positive, but Jesus Christ, it felt like it took forever. It was just bland characters making stupid choices, even when they know splitting up and going out there where a killer is about as goddamn dumb as you can get. Now, because of this movie, we would get 2 more Slumber Party Massacres, a Sorority House Massacre trilogy, and a cheerleader camp massacre saga. I didn't see that one. And I just learned that Slumber Party Massacre has a 2021 remake. I also haven't seen that one either. I don't know how many of those I'll watch that I just listed off, but it did have a bit of success. You know, it was a $200,000 budget. I think they made $3.2 million, which is a success back in '82. And because of that, that's what was birthed from it. More massacre series featuring naked chicks and a crazed killer. I think the Slumber Party Massacre 2 has like a rock guy that looks like Andrew Dice Clay with a guitar and a drill at the end of it. I mean, that's kind of creative. That's pretty cool, but we're probably not going to watch it together. And that will do it for the Slumber Party Massacre. The nightmare is over. We can move on to something better just a little later on in the week. This is Aging Gracefully. I am Matthew Essex. Feel free to come back and hang out as often as you want. Subscribe. You guys are all really, really cool. I appreciate the fact that you take any amount of time in your day to look at any of this stuff. I love talking about horror movies. That's what we do here. Until then, I'll see you guys on the other side.